Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Hey, Rod, how are you?
Fine. How are you doing, Mike?
Fine, thanks. Joe, glad you can join us.
Glad to be.
Rod, if you can let me know who needs to be able to share their screen, I will make them co-hosts.
That's
That's
Joe.
me. I've got the presentation on my computer.
Okay.
And Megan will need to share hers as well.
We've got almost as many Giffords-Webster people here as we have planning commissioners, it looks like.
How about that?
We like to come in force.
Okay.
Not sure what that means, Michael.
Yeah. Nothing necessarily. Gordon, I'm glad you could join us. I wasn't sure that you were going to be here.
I hadn't planned on being here, but
Okay.
here I am.
Excellent.
I wasn't going to be here because today is my birthday, and I thought my wife would take me out to dinner, or bake a cake or something.
But since neither of those happened,
Here I am.
okay.
Oh, so sorry.
How sad is that?
maybe we should sing for him.
No, please.
I'm willing, but yeah. Let's see. Are we missing any planning commissioners? 1, 2, 3, 4. Who are we missing?
We have 7 and we're missing Love.
I'm sorry.
Bob Love.
Oh yes.
Bob Love.
And he may have said that he wasn't going to be here as well, Gordon. So, folks, it's
Might be changing diapers.
that which could well be, yes. It's a minute after 7, and I think we have everyone here that we're going to have. Folks from Giffords-Webster, everyone on your screen, we have all but one of our planning commissioners, so we won't necessarily go through introductions. I think everyone's name is posted on their panel there. Michelle Dewey is our host with the city. Mr. Elliott is our acting city administrator and planner, and Jeremy Clemens is our planning staff. And I think you probably know everyone then. Mayor Heath, I believe, has certainly joined us in spirit. I don't see her picture there, but there she is. There she is.
I'm not giving you a picture. I had to move 2 yards just now, so I'm sweaty and hot. I was out mowing. Sorry.
Okay, very well. But I think we're ready to get going.
Just click on video, Mayor.
Yeah, and we'll turn it over to Giffords-Webster.
Okay. So I'll share my screen so that you can all see the presentation. Should be right there. Is everybody seeing that properly?
There we go.
Okay. So thank you for having us.
Everyone, I think everyone did receive copies of this previously. So, or maybe not this exact same thing, but we have copies of the comprehensive plan draft dated July 2020. So
yes, that's right. Yep. So I'll touch a little bit on what's in that draft, but we're more going to be looking forward. Obviously, any questions or comments that you have about what's in the draft are certainly welcome. So, like I said, we're going to update on the plan progress. We'll talk about the upcoming public input. We are going to talk about redevelopment ready sites, and we're going to look at the goals and objectives of your previous plan. And we have some initial ideas on on a possible way to evolve those for the new plan. That's something we're going to dive more heavily into the next time we see you, but we want to tee that one up. So this is who is with us joining you tonight. Howard's not here, but he is working on the market study portion of the plan, and most of his material is complete. We now have it, and we'll be starting to incorporate it into the plan. So the draft that you received included an update of your historical, regional, and planning context. It included an update to your demographic, economic, and housing information. It included some natural features analysis, and it included some information about your community facilities and your functional road classifications. That's kind of the table setter content of the ordinance. That sets us up to know what to ask about in the public input, and to from there develop your goals and objectives. Do you have? I guess I'll stop here and ask if anybody has any questions or comments about the draft that was provided.
I marked mine up quite a bit, mostly with maybe a half a dozen typos and a couple general questions relative to the demographics for just looking for clarification. But I'm not sure we want to get into that in a general meeting.
Yeah, I'll leave it up to your discretion, but if you want to send those questions to us, we can certainly address them that way as well.
Okay, that would be fine.
Okay.
That's great, because I have some as well, Mr. Chairman, but I'd rather just send it by email. So that's great.
Yep. Okay, that's what we'll do then.
Excellent. So we will anticipate the commissioners, Jacobitz and Taylor, at a minimum, will send us some comments and questions. And if anybody else would like to do that, please do.
Yes, staff has some too, Joe. And let me ask the general question though, and you mentioned Howard, is the economic development plan going to be incorporated into the comprehensive plan? Because I didn't see a reference to it in the index.
It is going to be incorporated into the plan. Yes, it hasn't been added to the table of contents yet, but yes, it will be part of the plan.
Gotcha.
Okay. Thank you for that. So moving on, wanted to address public input, because that's the next step. So you have undertaken several initiatives in recent years that have involved public input. That's all going to be considered in our plan. We've done some summary of recent planning documents already that is going to be included in the appendix of the plan. You are also obviously currently conducting your crime prevention through environmental design study with the University of Michigan Extension. That's gathering input, and that's going to be incorporated into the master plan by reference. We've been in communication with Harmony about her project as well, so we're well aware of what's happening there, and she is kind of letting us know what the progress is as she goes along.
Hey, Joe, this is Gordon House. I believe that study is being done with the Michigan State University Extension. And so to keep the Spartans happy, we probably need to.
Did I say Michigan?
Yep.
University of Michigan.
University.
Sorry.
In fact,
I
that
meant
is
Michigan
correct.
State.
Freudian slip.
Gordon is correct. Mm-hmm.
I think it's fine just the way it is.
Don, go Irish.
Go ahead, Joe.
So given that the state's emergency order is still in place, we have a limit on the size of public gatherings and official meetings. We are recommending moving forward with a virtual open house. We've done this with a couple other communities in the last few months, most recently with Madison Heights. And it's gone fairly well. If it's promoted well, people do respond. So it will be conducted online. One thing that we do want to note is that if the city would like and has an appropriate location for it, we can provide an analog version of the digital open house as well. that people who wouldn't otherwise be able to access it online could use, and we're willing to provide that, and we can discuss with you and with staff whether or not you think that's necessary and where you think that an appropriate location might be for that.
Tell us a little more, Joe, about how that would work. I mean, is it at a physical location for that same period of time that we would be conducting the virtual open house online?
That's correct, yes. So you could make people aware that the information was available there, and you'd have most likely paper copies of the questions that we're asking online, and people would have an opportunity to access it that way, because we know that not everybody can always get online to participate in something like this. So we want to make sure that we're being cognizant of that, and providing an alternative means of participation, and just making sure that everybody who wants a chance to give their input is given a chance to give their input.
If it was a daytime, we have a number of nice park settings that we could have something, outside under a pavilion even.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
One possibility.
It seems like that is something we'll want to try to do. We'll have to think about the logistics of it, but I would try to plan on having that opportunity. So,
okay, we can follow up with you, Greg, over the next week or so, and figure out the logistics of that, how we're going to handle it. So just to date, the market assessment survey is closed. The stakeholder meetings for the market assessment and economic development strategy are complete. We do have the PictureThis app, which is live. We have developed a draft virtual open house, and Megan's going to show you that in a minute. And like I said, the analog version is something that we can provide as appropriate, and we'll figure out the logistics of that in concert with staff.
Joe, do we have links to the PictureThis app? Have we already received those and I missed it?
Mike, we haven't promoted that yet because it sort of overlaps with what SEPTED folks are trying to do. Yeah, it's out there, but and we thought they were going to be done at the end of July. That's what they had announced, and then they,
Okay.
unilaterally extended their date. But I think pretty shortly here we have to figure out how we want to promote that.
Okay, because I was under the impression that was already out there, and when I went looking for it, I found the other one you referred to, but not this one. So,
Right.
okay, thank you.
I have a question, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
The stakeholder meetings for market assessment and economic development strategy are complete. Who was involved in that?
That was led by Howard Kahn, our partner on this project. He's done numerous projects like that, and he did it all by phone this time because of the situation that we're in.
My question is, who was involved? I mean, who did he interview?
Yeah. Again, I don't think we heard anything about it. So
right offhand,
No,
I couldn't tell you, but he has a summary that he is going to provide us. He hasn't provided us with the summary yet, and when we have that, it will be provided to you, and we will discuss it the next time we meet. So we'll give you a full summary of it, and we'll have the content ready, so you'll be able to see that that portion of the draft prior to that next meeting that we have.
Yeah, he coordinated with your previous economic development director and with staff and developed folks that he interviewed, and we'll report back to you on that.
okay,
I have to say I was not aware of doing that. So
yeah,
I'll also be interested to see who he talked to.
Right, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
That's what PictureThis looks like. And I'm going to kick it over to Megan now to give you a little tour of the virtual open house draft that we've developed. So I'm going to stop my share, and Megan, you can pick it up.
Keep in mind, this is a work in progress.
Yep.
Yep, so I was just about to say, what I'm going to be showing you guys is actually the back end. So as we're creating it, so it's going to look a little less polished, but keep in mind what folks will be seeing is the published version, and it'll look really nice and smooth. So hang in there just a little bit, but we got some good content coming your way. So what we use is an ArcGIS product called Story Maps. And it's basically a more visual way to bring folks through the information that we would typically have at an open house. So what you have here is your intro page, and it's filled with a lot of images. There's a feature where we're going to have a map where folks can leave comments similar to the PictureThis, but more in the open house format. And so what this does is takes folks through a series of tabs and public input opportunities, if you can see here. Several different topics that they can go to and read about, whether it be demographics or transportation and mobility, and then different tabs where they can submit their input on different topics if they're just trying to hustle in and fill out their input there. So we have a little bit of an introduction here that explains how the process works and the different topics that are going to be going through in this virtual open house. Really easy to scan through, a little bit of a back end on what a comprehensive plan is. And then we go right into the demographic data. So the way this works is we present tables and information, whether it be visually on the sidebars, and then there's usually some content and backstory right here in the text. So let's see if it'll load. So some of the photos aren't loading, but what you're seeing basically is the content coming in here. People can scroll through while looking at images or data on these. You have some of your population data coming in here. And let me just get down really quick to a public input opportunity. So another, obviously, topics here, education, income, and employment. So they're all separated by tab. So you can either scroll right to them or kind of run through them here in kind of a flowing format. So I'm just going to scroll right quick to the public input. So the way this works is it's teamed up and embedded with Mentimeter, which is our way of producing live feedback for public input results. So everything is going to be linked. So what you're going to see here is this is actually the live results. So there's going to be a link here. The first question is a simple one, just asking what are 2 words that describe the city of Adrian. Folks are going to click on this link. Oh, I'm on the back end, so but either way, this will go to Mentimeter. And then we'll put in your answers and it'll populate here. So that's how all of the public input will be presented in all the different formats. So you can see how many people responded, kind of like a running tally. And then move into transportation, of course. And these are some topics that we'll get into so you guys can decide what types of questions you really want to be asking. We'll, of course, have recommendations. But you guys can kind of finesse and hone in on what exactly you want to get out of this process. And then the only thing I'll scroll down to even further is at the end, which is a fun feature as well. This will load. This is the map feature. Oh, please load. And how this works is you're able to leave comments on the map. So if folks have something that they really like here in Trestle Park, they can add a comment specific to that location. So similar to the PictureThis, but another opportunity to leave it in a more visual format. So that's the very rough draft, the bones of a public input. Happy to answer any questions about past virtual open houses that I've worked on, or any of the content that you like to be placed in it.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
So as we've been Zoom bombed, we were the ones that did. Is there anything in that? I know I do the GIS for the city. I'm the GIS administrator as well. Is there anything in there to stop that from happening? Because I know pictures can be taken, things like that. Is there anything to stop that?
Mm-hmm. Like a screening process.
For the map?
Yeah, so if somebody,
input?
is there pictures with that?
There is with the PictureThis.
So I've really worried about that program in the way that what if somebody takes pictures that are inappropriate? Is there a vetting process for those?
That I'm not entirely sure of, but maybe that's a.
Because I've looked at it too. I think it's a great idea. It's just that I worry about that part. You know, is someone going to go on there and see our city and see something they shouldn't see because we didn't catch it?
I guess I can just say we've done this in many communities and have never had a problem with it. Not to say that it can't happen, but if it's identified, then it would be removed
Okay.
if it's inappropriate. So I guess that's the, and then if it becomes a problem, it'll get shut down. I mean,
Okay.
we're using this as a public input tool, and if it's going to be abused, then you know, there's only so much we can do, but we're going to rely on everybody to help us in monitoring it. We will certainly be monitoring it, but if you see something, please let us know so we can act on it.
I was just wondering if it goes through us first, where we okay it to pop up, or I mean,
I don't think that has, I don't believe that is an option, but we will look
yeah, I
into
wouldn't
that.
see that. It wouldn't be very transparent if we could pick and choose what went. So that was just my question. I'm not super familiar with it, so just a little
Sure
curious.
thing. I will add though,
it's not clear to me is the open house, it's a virtual open house, I realize that, but is there a portion of it that it's like a Zoom meeting like this, or is it entirely as an individual online answering questions and doing their own independent input?
Yep, entirely individual, independent input.
So there's no give and take.
No,
Other than the input that they're asked to provide.
Okay.
No, there's not a conversational element to it.
Okay.
It's not really it's not live interaction. If I understand correctly. And
I just needed to clarify that.
Is there a prescribed period or an intended period of time that the open house, over which the open house would occur?
September 8th through the 30th was the window that we were targeting. That's the day after Labor Day through the end of the month.
Seemed like that would be a good time right after the summer when people get kind of settled back in their as normal a routine as you can have now, and seemed like a good time to do that.
I realize that we've only just seen kind of a rough draft of this. I would hope that it would provide the opportunity for more extended input than 2-word answers, or please give me your 2 words that describe this. I find those kind of answers pretty unsatisfying. So
we consider that one the warm-up question, and then there's going to be lots of questions about different types of mechanisms they want to improve transportation, mobility. So yes, I'm with you. There's going to be lots of content-heavy questions in there, so no worries.
And particularly with the redevelopment sites, it would be a really great opportunity. If you have redevelopment sites you want to get input on, we could ask specific questions about those sites as well.
Okay.
And I just wanted to add quickly, because I was reminded, in regards to like censorship, the Mentimeter has a filter for any profanity, so that helps with any of the other public input options. So even though you can't, obviously weed out any negative comments, we want those as well too. It'll help weed out anything that might have inappropriate language in it.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions about the virtual open house, folks? Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys. I will stop sharing. Give it back to Joe.
Goes back to Joe.
Yep. Okay, should be able to see a slide that says virtual open house timeline.
Yes.
Yep. So I just gave this timeline, but we thought starting after Labor Day, which is unusually late this year, and then running through the end of the month gives us a compact time frame, but enough time that people can use it at their discretion. So the next topic on our schedule tonight is redevelopment ready sites. So As a refresher, Adrian is engaged in the Michigan Economic Development Corporation's Redevelopment Ready Communities program. And that program has a series of benchmarks for communities to meet en route to a redevelopment ready certification. And they're pretty expansive. They cover a lot of different areas of content, everything from training for boards to, is your website easy to navigate? Does it provide the information people need? To the state of your ordinances, to the relevance of your master plan. And one of the elements is redevelopment ready sites. So the MEDC likes its communities that are engaged in the program to have 3 sites chosen that the MEDC can assist with marketing. And that's kind of one of the perks of being in the RRC program. The other one is that it makes you eligible for state funding for certain projects. So I wanted to point to the marketing document that was done for 227 North Winter Street as an example of a redevelopment ready site that the city has sort of already identified and worked on.
This is the Fallhaber building, folks. Is that or Courthouse Commons?
Courthouse Commons, yeah.
Courthouse
Okay.
Commons, yep,
Thank you.
exactly, yep. And there's the cover of the document. I don't know if all of you are familiar with the document or not, but it is a nice little marketing piece. And for this plan, we would like to identify some other sites to work on some vision for, and the MEDC would help you pick up and run with those from there. So we had a list of potential sites that we're aware of, and we would like your input on, other potential sites or the sites that are listed here. The old Bixby Hospital, the former Powerhouse, Adrian Mall, Garfield and McKinley schools are both subject to contingent sales agreements at present, so I'm not sure we want to go with those, but they are potential redevelopment sites. And then, of course, other suggestions. So I'll throw
What is the former Powerhouse? I'm not familiar with that.
The downtown next to the Hamerman building, Mike.
I'm sorry?
Next to the Hamerman building downtown.
Okay. It was
Jeff Willett's old building. Yeah.
Yes, got it. Thank you.
Joe, so if you could describe what the appropriate criteria for selecting such a site would be, maybe that would be helpful for the commissioners.
Selection criteria are, they're fairly open to interpretation. It is a site that the community feels is a priority for redevelopment and reinvestment. So if you have a prominent site that dominates a major intersection in your community, for instance, you could interpret that as being a site that is a high priority for redevelopment if it's in a poor state or undeveloped at the moment, vacant, because of its prominence. Another potential example would be a large site that was, perhaps a former factory or something that is no longer in operation, and it has some potential for redevelopment as multifamily or something along those lines, and that would change the mixture of housing types in your community. That would be equally valid as a priority redevelopment site because it would have a similar, transformative impact on a portion of the city. So that's really what the MEDC is looking for. There's no particular size that they're looking for. They really are just looking for sites that would be impactful if redeveloped.
So it really has nothing to do with, like, as far as I know, nobody knows what the hospital's going to do.
I'm guessing, Brian, they're referring to the old Bixby Hospital
Yes, the
Oh,
old one. Yep. Yep.
by the post office. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think the intention was the hospital that's now being relocated.
Okay.
I think that was the intention.
Okay, because we've also got another Bixby Hospital that is in
That's
a
not as
deteriorating
true.
state. Yeah. So,
So we could make that a plural, I guess.
yes, exactly.
But like, that's my question. Like, these sites, you know, the Adrian Mall, well, I drive by there now and they sure seem to be working on it. I don't know what the status is of that, what the current owners are going to do. I don't want to waste time and effort thinking about some of these places when it's never going to come to fruition. That, you know, are they going to knock the old hospital down and give it to the city? Are they going to knock it down, or are they going to let it sit there, or what? You know, are we shooting for the stars, or should we make educated decisions and guesses?
Well,
Certainly an appropriate selection criteria is whether or not there's some potential for controlling the site, right? I mean, one of the drawbacks of the work that was done, that Courthouse Commons brochure, I think, was done as part of the Rising Tide program. And, you know, a substantial drawback is that, you know, we don't have any control over that site currently. It is distressed, and there are issues with respect to, you know, with it that may end up putting it on the market. But you know, there's a limited amount of influence that we would have over a site like that. So I would think that'd be an appropriate consideration as you select your 3 sites.
Or, yeah, at a minimum, to have a willing property owner that is interested in cooperating would also be helpful. And the idea is you're trying to set some future vision for sites like these at a master plan level analysis, keeping in mind that ultimately you as a city will have control over zoning, and potentially if you have a partnership, you may have even more control if you're able to acquire it. So this is starting to set the framework for a vision for what those future land use activities might be on those sites, and what you think as a planning commission makes sense in terms of a long range land use on those sites.
So if we thought that I keep wanting to call it the Fallhaber building, the Courthouse Commons building was appropriate for condo redevelopment, then the future land use plan should show it as multifamily housing.
That is correct.
Yeah.
So what would be the buy-in for the building owners in this project? Does it open them up for possible state funding? Like, where does this lead other than just us getting some say in the matter?
One of the things that the state does is, yes, the state actually will help market the property via the MEDC.
They could provide additional funding for actual market materials. They could put it on their websites. They could offer additional incentives. There's a wide variety depending upon the project and what their funding availability is. But yes, it could become a significant advantage to have MEDC cooperation with marketing these properties.
Okay, so it's mainly marketing then.
Yes, exactly. The
Okay.
MEDC also facilitates brownfield redevelopment funding. So having an in on a particular property upfront is actually also advantageous when it comes to getting funding like that.
So it seems to me that none of these properties right here are properties that we currently have any control over. So the point I want to make is that if we're going to be saying we'd like to redevelop site A, B, C, D, and E, we ought to make sure that we have the owners of A, B, C, D, and E on board with us and partnering with us, rather than have them read it in the paper that they're a redevelopment site.
Yeah.
I guess that's my question, is who initiates that redevelopment ready site, and could there possibly be more than one proposal for a single site?
You could list a range. Well, no, I guess there's 2 questions there. You could have more than one potential use identified. You could have either or. I mean, it's kind of unusual, but I guess I've seen that done before as a range of use types. And then typically someone from the city would reach out initially to talk to the property owner, whether they'd like to participate in this process. And then we could have additional contact with them as well and try to get their input as we're developing recommendations that we bring to you.
So it would be helpful to kind of brainstorm about this a little bit right now. If anybody does have sites in mind that they think would be appropriate, we can follow a process like that in terms of vetting them to see if they would be appropriately selected for inclusion.
I would definitely say Hammerman's downtown. That's, I would say, probably the biggest eyesore downtown right now. And just from everything I've heard about the building, it's in pretty rough shape. And obviously, as we know, the structural integrity of the surrounding buildings downtown depend on their neighbors' buildings. So I'd say that'd be a really good one to look at.
So the reason I didn't suggest that to them is because I think there is a specific project in the works for that property, and so it wasn't clear to me that it needed marketing assistance and so on. You know, we have a developer who owns that and who has an idea of what we'd like to do with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that also true for the old YMCA?
So the old Y was initially on our list, and then when it was sold to Creek Enterprise, we took it off the list because they will be having an adaptive reuse application before you at your next planning commission.
Okay.
That's good news.
How about Lenawee Tire? Has anybody heard anything about that one?
So I think you guys remember he came forward for a PUD proposal. I haven't heard from him since, but I believe he is working on that to try to get that going as his art studio. I haven't heard from him again, so we could add it to our list, but I believe he's working on it.
Okay.
As far as I know right now.
Hey, Greg, I know about Garfield. What contingent sales agreements do we have on McKinley?
So apparently that is the sales agreement with Consumers Energy for that site.
Thank you.
For what purpose?
They made contact with Jeremy today, I believe, for a gas transfer facility. They had been trying to relocate or locate that new facility on the Siena Heights campus, and they were unable to do that there. And I think it's their intention to try to do it here. I don't know if that's the right term, Jeremy. Is that what they call it?
Yeah, it's a small gas regulator station, as they call it. We have it in our ordinance as a zoning exception, so regardless, it'll come to you. They're kind of seeking guidance because they haven't yet purchased the property, but they, at least in the, I haven't talked to them personally, but the message said he talked to them and he wants to purchase it for that.
What site is that again, Jeremy?
McKinley?
McKinley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are you serious? In the middle of
Sounds like
middle
that
of a
wouldn't-
residential? Well, never mind.
Sounds like that wouldn't be a full redevelopment of the site. It would take a small portion.
It wouldn't be a full redevelopment, but that's what they're talking to them about purchasing it. The Garfield School was looking to be sold for a very cheap price too. So the school's looking to sell these for very low prices. So I can see why they went for it.
Tell you what, let's not get too.
Yeah, let's not.
deep into this evening, although those are all good suggestions. I saw a chat from the mayor suggesting another one that would be a good redevelopment ready site is the farm building downtown. But why don't we think of these things kind of offline and develop collectively or individually lists of potential redevelopment sites that we can pass on through Jeremy or Greg to the consultants.
Great idea.
Okay, moving on then.
Okay. So we will be discussing and diving into your goals, objectives, and strategies in some depth the next time we meet. However, we did want to get you thinking about them now. So we'll be sending a follow-up document that includes what you're about to see here for you to consider. We're probably going to be targeting October to meet with you again. So you have this 2007 vision statement, and I mean, I won't read it to you, but it seems to me like it's a fairly relevant statement still. And what's that?
Yeah, I was concurring.
Yeah, okay. So, you know, this kind of sets the table for your goals, and we spent some time with your goals. This is how they were worded in the last plan. So we have one that speaks to historic character, one that speaks to downtown redevelopment, one that speaks to commercial and office uses outside the downtown, one that speaks to housing opportunity and variety, another that speaks to redevelopment of planned industrial areas, and another that speaks to the transportation network. And for the time, you actually had a pretty advanced complete streets component to that plan. Sri and I have spent a little time talking about this over the last week, and we were thinking about ways to evolve those goals forward in the context of this plan. And we kind of extended some of those forward, combined a couple of them, and then we had a couple of new, potential new goals. One is related to the redevelopment sites, because that's a new thing that the RRC program simply wasn't present at the time. And then a sustainability resiliency related goal was another thing that we thought we would suggest bringing into the plan. The historic community character goal on the left kind of combines the historic and downtown goals from the last plan. And then we had we're hoping to use the market study to develop the objectives for that economic development and equity goal that you see at the bottom there. And as I said, we will follow up with a document that includes both the original goals, the vision statement, and this evolution of the goals that we've worked on. And you can use that as preparation, to think about these things in advance of our next meeting with you in October. And, of course, all these goals will ultimately be supported by objectives and, more granular implementation items that will help advance all of them. But this is more of a conversation starter. We didn't expect you to get too deep into this tonight, but like I said, you'll receive a follow-up document from us that includes all of this information.
Yes, we will get copies of this, you're saying, Joe?
That's correct, yep.
Okay, very well.
And obviously, all of these will be subject to tweaks based on what we get on our public input as well.
Mhm.
So that brings us to, what's next. So we are looking to have, like I said, our next meeting with you in October after the public input is closed. At that time, we'll summarize the public input for you, and we will have the consolidated information from the market study to present to you as well. We'll have a deeper discussion of the goals and objectives, and the by that point, we'll have identified the redevelopment sites that we're really looking at, and we'll have some suggestions for those as well. And then we're looking to, after that conversation, have a fuller draft of the plan ready for December for your review, and we'll be working on the implementation at that point. So by the end of the year, we plan to have a mostly complete plan for discussion. And we will convene at that point. If there's a convenient time to convene in December, we'll do that. Otherwise, I suppose it would probably be January. And December is kind of a crazy month.
Who knows?
Anyway,
We're not going anyplace. So
well, that's true. Yes, we all have fewer places to be.
I'm guessing we probably won't have the draft done until it's closer to the end of that month anyway. So we would likely disseminate an early draft and then have a discussion in January.
Sure.
Will we have an opportunity either as individuals, but I would think more as a group, to do a detailed review of of changes to the future land use plan?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
What we would likely do is present to you those changes for your discussion, and then we would be able to, if you are looking for tweaking to that or have additional input, we would incorporate that in the revised draft that would likely come back to you as we finish up all the implementation and get everything together. So that might happen at a February meeting, for example.
Okay. What else?
That's it for now.
Joe,
Mhm.
a quick question.
Sure.
Realizing this is very preliminary, but you've hit upon a lot of really good things tonight. Is it possible for you to share with us your presentation to tweak our memories and get us thinking about various questions that I know I've written down, but I'm surely missed some of them, but I think we have some homework to do, and this would be a good reminder.
Sure, absolutely. We will send this right along with the other follow-up document that I was talking about.
Super. Great. Thank you.
And we've been trying to send along a copy of our slide deck so Greg can get it posted and share it, so we can, absolutely, so you can have that. So we will get that to you.
Thank you.
Rod, Joe, Megan, anything else that we need to cover while we're all together here?
I think we've given you plenty to think about before our next meeting.
Commissioners and staff, are there more additional questions for these folks while we have them with us? Mayor Heath, anything from you? Okay, never mind.
Going back to cutting our grass.
Yes, I gather that. Okay. If there's nothing else for business for us this evening, anything for the good of the order, folks, from Giffords Webster, thank you for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Commissioners, if I don't see you before then, I'll see you at our September, what did we decide it was? September 1st? September 1st meeting. So,
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Goss, yes.
I don't think we have any members of the public here, but do we need to have public comment?
I do not see any members of the public here. So, and if anyone else wanted to comment, that was kind of what I was getting at right there. So,
Thank you, sir.
certainly. Okay. Michelle, thank you for hosting.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good evening.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.